For the past 11 years, I have been tracking grocery supply chains, working directly with distributors, and watching what actually disappears during shortages versus what sits untouched on shelves. While everyone is loading up on the same items they see on viral TikTok lists, I quietly stock the stuff that nobody fights over. Number 9 is sitting at your local grocery store right now for under $4, and when I tell you what it is, you are going to wonder why the big prepper channels never mention it. The problem is that when everyone reads the same blogs and buys the same stuff, that is exactly what disappears first. Back in March 2020, I watched the pasta aisle get cleared in 2 hours. But there was another entire section, fully stocked 3 days later, that does the exact same thing for half the price. What I am about to show you are 12 items that major grocery chains are quietly discontinuing. Final shipments of this March 2026. Some are being pulled but because of supplier consolidation, others because of new import restrictions. A few are just not profitable enough for stores to keep stocking. But here is what matters. Once these final March shipments sell through, they are gone. And because nobody is talking about them, they are still sitting there right now while everyone else is panic buying the usual suspects. If you want to stop guessing and start actually preparing smart, hit that subscribe button right now because this channel is built entirely on finding what others miss. Number 1 is going to sound boring until you understand what is actually happening. Canned mackerel. Not tuna, not salmon, mackerel. Before you scroll thinking this is just another fish option, here is what nobody tells you. Several major grocery chains, including 2 of the largest in the Midwest, are discontinuing mackerel entirely after their March shipments because the profit margin is too thin compared to shelf space. They are replacing it with higher margin items. But here is the thing. Mackerel has more omega-3s per ounce than salmon, costs about 1/3 the price, and has a shelf life of 5 years. I opened a can last month that I bought in 2021. Tasted perfect. Here's what I do. I drain it, mix it with a tablespoon of mayo, squeeze of lemon, put it on crackers. Takes 90 seconds. One can has 34 grams of protein. A 4-pack right now costs $3.49 at most stores. Meanwhile, people are buying those little tuna pouches for $2 each that have 12 grams of protein and taste like wet cardboard. During the 2020 shortage, tuna was gone for weeks in my area. Mackerel sat untouched on the shelf the entire time. Most people have never even tried it, which is exactly why it survives every single shortage. The stores do not care that it is nutritionally superior. They care about profit per square inch of shelf. That is why it is disappearing. Grab it now while it is still there. Look, grocery prices are rising faster than most people can track, and the items that are actually being pulled from shelves are not the ones anyone is talking about. And I have done the research for you and put together a free emergency pantry blueprint that lists the exact 20 items you must stock before supply chains tighten further. It can feed your family for 3 weeks and costs less than 2 grocery trips. You can grab it for free at the link in the description, so you can stop worrying about what to buy and start actually building a pantry that works. Number 2 is something you have walked past 1,000 times and never thought twice about. Canned hominy. This one sounds like old people food, but it is absolute gold. Hominy is corn that has been treated with lime, not the fruit, the mineral. That process unlocks niacin, which your body cannot get from regular corn. Here is the insider fact. 3 major chains are discontinuing hominy after March because younger demographics do not buy it, and it is considered a regional product, but here is what they are missing. Hominy is shelf-stable for 7 years, dirt cheap, and one can has 6 grams of fiber. I keep 12 cans in my pantry at all times. Last winter, during a power outage that lasted 4 days, I made pozole with 1 can of hominy, 1 pound of pork shoulder I had frozen, and some dried chiles. Fed my family of 4 for 2 nights. Cost maybe $8 total. Here's the mechanic. Open the can, drain it, toss it in any soup or stew. It soaks up flavor like a sponge. A single can right now costs 89 cents. People are spending $4 on instant rice packets that have 0 fiber and taste like glue. Nobody fights over hominy. I have never, not once, seen it out of stock. The stores are pulling it because it does not move fast enough for their inventory models. That is your opportunity. Number 3 is going to make you rethink your entire spice cabinet. Whole nutmeg, not ground. Whole. Here is what most people do not know. Ground nutmeg loses potency in about 6 months. Whole nutmeg lasts longer than you or I will be alive. I have a nutmeg in my drawer from 2019. Still smells like I just bought it. 2 major grocery chains are discontinuing whole nutmeg after March shipments because pre-ground spices have higher turnover and better margins. But here's the thing. One whole nutmeg, which costs about $2 for a jar of 3, can be grated into the equivalent of 15 of those little ground nutmeg jars. You just need a microplane or a small grater, and I grate it fresh into oatmeal, into sweet potato mash, into coffee sometimes. Takes 5 seconds. The flavor is so much stronger than the pre-ground stuff that you use half as much. A jar of 3 whole nutmegs costs $1.99. Those little McCormick ground jars are $4.50 and go stale in months. During shortages, nobody is hunting for whole nutmeg. They are grabbing the ground stuff they recognize. I watched it happen in 2021 when supply chains got weird. Whole spices sat untouched. The stores do not care that whole is better. They care about speed of sale. Grab this now. Number 4 is sitting in the international aisle, and most people have never even looked at it. Canned coconut milk. Not the carton stuff in the dairy section. The canned stuff in the Asian aisle. Here is what is happening. Several chains are consolidating their international aisles and cutting slower-moving items. Canned coconut milk is on that list. To final March shipments at multiple stores I have confirmed with managers directly. But here's what makes this critical. Canned coconut milk has a 4-year shelf life, is loaded with healthy fats, and one can has about 800 calories. Your body needs fat, not wants. Needs. Especially in a crisis when you are burning more energy from stress. I keep 10 cans in my pantry. Last year I made a Thai curry with 1 can of coconut milk, whatever vegetables I had, and some chicken thighs. It cost maybe $6. Tasted like restaurant quality food. Here's the simple mechanic. Open the can, pour it into any soup, any stew, any rice dish. It makes everything creamy and filling. A single can right now costs $2.29. People are buying those little coffee creamers for $5 that have 3 tablespoons of liquid. Canned coconut milk is 13 ounces of pure usable fat and flavor. Nobody panics over it. Most preppers have never even considered it, which means it is always in stock, until it is not. After March, you're going to have to order it online for triple the price. Number 5 is one of those things that sounds too simple to matter. Bullion cubes, not the liquid broth in cartons. The cubes. Here is what is shifting. Major stores are moving towards refrigerated broth because it has higher perceived value and better margins. Bullion cubes are being phased out after March at several chains because they take up shelf space, and younger shoppers buy the cartons. But here is the genius of cubes. They do not need refrigeration. They last indefinitely. 1 cube makes 1 cup of broth. A box of 24 cubes costs $2.50. Those cartons of broth are $4 for 4 cups, and they go bad in a week once opened. I have cubes in my pantry that are 3 years old. Still perfect. During the 2020 panic, liquid broth was gone. Bullion cubes were everywhere. Here's what I do. I toss 2 cubes into rice while it is cooking. Adds flavor, adds salt, makes boring rice taste like something. I use them in soups, in gravies, anywhere I need a flavor base. Food monotony causes decision fatigue. Boring food makes you stupid when you need to be smart most. Bullion cubes fix that. The enemy here is marketing. People think the cartons are healthier because they look fancier. They are not. Read the label. Same sodium, same ingredients, just way more expensive and way less stable. Grab cubes now while they are still on shelves. Number 6 is going to sound strange until you see the math. Canned pumpkin. Not pumpkin pie filling. Pure pumpkin. Here is what is happening behind the scenes. 2 major pumpkin suppliers consolidated last year, and several chains are cutting their stock to just seasonal availability. After March, pure canned pumpkin is going to be a fall-only item at most stores. But here's what makes this a quiet powerhouse. Canned pumpkin has a shelf life of 5 years. 1 cup has 7 grams of fiber. It is sweet enough to eat plain if you had to. I opened a can from 2022 last week. Tasted perfect. Here is the mechanic nobody talks about. You can mix canned pumpkin into oatmeal, into pancake batter, into soups to thicken them. I make pumpkin chili. Sounds weird. Stay with me. 1 can of pumpkin, 1 pound of ground beef, 1 can of black beans, chili powder. Oh, it is incredible. The pumpkin adds body and a little sweetness that balances the heat. A single can costs $1.39 right now. People are buying those little applesauce pouches for $2 that have a fraction of the fiber. Nobody is stockpiling pumpkin outside of November. I have never seen it sold out. The stores do not care that it is versatile and nutritious. They care about moving product fast. This is your window. At number 7 is in the baking aisle, and you have probably ignored it your whole life. Cream of tartar. This one is so specific that most people do not even know what it does. Here's the situation. Multiple grocery chains are cutting slow-moving baking items after March because baking from scratch is declining among younger shoppers. Cream of tartar is on that cut list. But here's the hidden value. Cream of tartar stabilizes egg whites, makes baked goods fluffier, and lasts indefinitely in a sealed container. I have a jar from 2020, still good. But here is the real reason it matters. You can mix cream of tartar with baking soda to make your own baking powder. 1 part cream of tartar, 1 part baking soda. That is it. A jar of cream of tartar costs $3.99 and makes the equivalent of 12 containers of baking powder. Those little baking powder cans are $4.50 each and they go flat after a year. Here is what I do. And I keep both cream of tartar and baking soda in airtight containers. When I need baking powder, I mix them fresh. Takes 10 seconds. During shortages, baking powder disappears fast. Cream of tartar sits untouched because nobody knows what it is. The stores are cutting it because it does not sell. That makes it perfect for you. Number 8 is one of those items that gets zero attention but does everything. Canned evaporated milk. Not condensed milk. Evaporated. Here's the shift happening. The chains are cutting evaporated milk after March because sales are flat and shelf space is premium. They are prioritizing dairy alternatives and flavored creamers. But here is what they are missing. Evaporated milk has a 2-year shelf life, does not need refrigeration, and you can use it exactly like cream in any recipe. I keep 6 cans in my pantry. Last month I made mac and cheese with evaporated milk instead of regular milk and butter. Creamier than the boxed stuff. Cost $1 to make. Here's the mechanic. 1 can of evaporated milk mixed with 1 can of water equals regular milk. Or use it straight as cream. I put it in coffee and mashed potatoes in soups. A single can costs $1.59. Those little half-and-half containers are $3.99 and last 4 days in the fridge. During 2020, fresh milk was constantly out. Evaporated milk was fully stocked every single time I checked. Most people do not even know it exists anymore. But the stores do not care that it is practical. They care about trends. This is the opposite of trendy. That is why it works. Number 9 is the one I teased at the beginning, and it is going to blow your mind when you see the value. Dried lentils. Not canned. Dried. Here is what is happening. Several major chains are shrinking their dry goods sections and cutting items that require customer education. Dried lentils are being discontinued after March at stores that cater to convenience shoppers. But here's the absolute genius of lentils. They cook in 20 minutes with no soaking. 1 pound of dried lentils makes 8 servings. 1 pound costs $1.60. That is 20 cents per serving. Each serving has 18 grams of protein and 16 grams of fiber. I have lentils in my pantry from 2023. Still cook perfectly. Here's what I do. Boil them in bouillon cube broth for 20 minutes. Add whatever spices I have. Eat them as is or throw them in anything. I have made lentil tacos, a lentil soup, lentil curry. A 1 pound bag costs $1.60. Preppers are dropping $40 on freeze-dried meals that taste like cardboard and have 6 grams of protein. Lentils are cheaper, healthier, faster, and taste better. During shortages, rice and beans disappear immediately. Lentils sit there because most Americans have never cooked them. The stores are pulling them because they do not move. That is exactly why you need to grab them now. Number 10 is going to sound too fancy, but it is the opposite. Canned artichoke hearts. Here is the situation. Multiple chains are cutting canned vegetables that are not top sellers. Artichoke hearts are on the cut list after March, but here is what makes this smarter than it sounds. Canned artichoke hearts have a 4-year shelf life and one can has 7 grams of fiber. They are filling, they are flavorful, and they are dirt cheap. A can costs $2. I keep 8 cans in my pantry. On last winter, I made a pasta dish with 1 can of artichoke hearts, olive oil, garlic, and parmesan. Fed 3 people. Cost maybe $5 total. Tasted like something from a restaurant. Here's the mechanic. Open the can, drain them, chop them up, toss them in pasta, in salads, on pizza. They add bulk and texture to any meal. People are buying those sad little salad kits for $6 that wilt in 2 days. Canned artichoke hearts last for years and actually taste like something. But nobody is stockpiling artichoke hearts. I have never seen them out of stock. The stores do not care that they are versatile. They care about volume. Grab them while you still can. Number 11 is hiding in the cereal aisle, and nobody thinks of it as a prep item. Plain instant oats. Not the flavored packets. Plain. Here is what is shifting. Stores are prioritizing flavored high-margin oat products and cutting plain bulk oats after March. But here's the power of plain oats. Now they last 2 years in the package, longer in a sealed container. 1 container of plain oats costs $3.50 and makes 30 servings. Each serving has 4 grams of fiber. I keep 2 large containers at all times. Last year during a week when I was completely broke, I ate oatmeal twice a day. Added a spoonful of peanut butter, a drizzle of honey. Cost maybe 40 cents per meal. Here is the mechanic. Boil water, add oats, wait 2 minutes. That is it. You can add literally anything. I have made savory oats with bouillon cubes and vegetables. I have made sweet oats with canned pumpkin and cinnamon. Oats are not just breakfast. During shortages, the flavored packets disappear because they are convenient. Plain oats sit there because people think they are boring. The stores are cutting them because fancy oat milk and overnight oat cups make more money. This is your chance. Number 12 is the final one, and it is something most people think is outdated. Canned beets. Here's what is happening. Major chains are cutting canned beets after March because they are low-volume sellers and take up space. But here's what nobody talks about. Canned beets have a 5-year shelf life, and 1 can has 3 grams of fiber. They are sweet, filling, and you can eat them straight from the can if you had to. I opened a can from 2021 last month. Tasted fine. Here's what I do. I drain them, slice them, put them in salads, or eat them as a side. And I have also blended them into soups to add color and sweetness. A single can costs $1.29. People are buying those little pre-packaged veggie snack packs for $4. Canned beets are cheaper, last longer, and have actual nutritional value. During 2020, fresh produce sections were chaos. Canned vegetables were hit or miss, but beets were always there. Most people do not like them or do not know how to use them. The stores are pulling them because they do not sell fast. That is exactly why they are valuable to you. While everyone else is fighting over the same tired prepper staples that go viral every 3 months, you now know 12 items that are cheaper, easier to store, and will actually still be available when the next shortage hits. These are not theories. These are items being pulled right now with final March shipments. I have confirmed this with store managers, distributors, and my own eyes walking the aisles. Drop a comment telling me which of these you are going to stock up on first, or if there is something I missed that you think deserves attention. Next week, I am revealing the 7 grocery store myths everyone believes that are actually costing you hundreds of dollars a year. Trust me, you do not want to miss that one.